If Vikings Valhalla Phase 1 was this Viking revenge against the English and all the characters, factions and plans that came together to exact it, then Episode 5 is firmly the beginning of Phase 2, distrust, betrayal and greed. While the Vikings revel in their victory, sacking London, collecting their rewards, playing with their victims, and taking in the new kingdom they've earned, the so-called hero of the battle, Leif, is still on his knees in the mud, dragging his dead friends from the river. As schemes for glory and greed, titles and lands are played out amongst music and cheer and liquor, Leif cradles his dying lover, still coated in the blood of the battle. Leif isn't an ambitious king or prince. His dreams were not to be the greatest Viking in history, but just to stand on his own. He's almost the perfect contrast to these other characters, in the way he looks and presents himself, in the simplest of motions and responses that don't address people's authorities or greed. He doesn't play politics or mince words. He has this rare authenticity to him that feels so lost in this new Viking age. By earning the attention of great men and earning this fame, he has now begun torn between different worlds. The show even has the gall to have someone literally summon him whilst he's at the side of his friend who is ill and injured, to call him away to receive his rewards and glory. Now, of course, in classic Leif style, he says, no, go away. But just as this summons from a king cannot be simply denied, this calling that is drawing him to be a great Viking, to step amongst the legends of the sagas, cannot be ignored. So as this boat gently floats back into the lake and burns away the lives of those following him, so too does it burn the Greenlander Leif, the Leif that is the son of Eric the Red, the Leif that was before. So now we must ask ourselves, what is the Leif to come next? Since Leif has arrived on the shores of Kattegat, so many miraculous things have happened to him. Again and again he has survived death-defying circumstances. He's been thrust into the spotlight, met new people with worldviews and ways of life that challenge everything he's ever thought. This exciting life full of glory and new friends is so attractive to Leif, and he wants to seek it out. But none of the experience or knowledge he had from his past life help him compute or process or understand what's happening to him. He's faced with a miracle, and he needs an explanation.
It's a Christian word. When something happens, it can only be explained by God.
I was happy when we got a few good scenes with King Canute in the previous episode, and now in this episode he's taken the center stage. Right from the beginning he shows everyone who's boss. He strolls in, tells Harald what's what, doesn't even flinch when he comes back at him red-faced and bloodthirsty. He quickly and smoothly runs circles around Edmund, keeping him in line. In fact, in so many of these scenes, he almost seems like this pariah shark, circling and watching everyone like prey, the whole room hanging off his every word. It demonstrates so quickly how he got to the position of king in the first place. He has a brain of an experienced politician, and all round he exudes this vibe of being the most dangerous man in the room and your most reliable ally. And oh my god, he looks so good in that armor. Every scene his movements are graceful and calculated. He just casually throws out another long monologue speech that's just as grandiose and entertaining as the previous one. This actor just really seems to have this role pegged down. I could stop gushing about Canute here, but this is my channel and I can do what I want. Just look at this relatively minor scene with Godwin, the way he emerges from the darkness, how he keeps Godwin on his toes as he evaluates his worth, simply saying his name back to him as he walks away, seamlessly indicating that it's one to be remembered. The way he smoothly picks up on Emma's distress and makes a show of casually pouring her more wine whilst turning his back so Olaf can't see the conversation, the calculating words he crafts towards Streona, lowering his guard, positing a possible interpretation of his words that could be charitable towards him, feigning respect for his actions when he really disdains his cowardice and betrayal and lack of honor, the sheer domination of Edmund as he takes charge, extracting exactly what he wants from the poor boy, how he drives straight through Harald's defenses, knowing exactly how to push his buttons and turn him against Olaf, when he went from one conversation where he said there's absolutely nothing in this conversation you could possibly say to help me right now, and So we had this kind of interesting subplot built over the episode with Emma being held hostage and Olaf trying to find out where the old king's gold is. So often with these great Viking raids to London, the moment the objective is complete is the moment the factions break up. But this time it just seemed like Olaf was the first one to realize it, so he quickly starts heading for his secondary goal. They've obviously been building Olaf to be the antagonist of the series, whether he was butting heads with Canute, or having conflict with Freydís, or just all around being pretty slimy. And then on the other side of things, with the English storyline, we had characters like Emma and Godwin, who we quite liked and supported. So as we head into phase 2 of this conflict, we get to see those new factions form, with the characters that we all like on one side, and characters that we could do without on the other. In truth, there's a level of pointlessness to the whole Battle of London. The king that caused the whole mess had already died. So I actually imagine whatever conflict kind of turns out of this new divide and ambition will actually have a lot more satisfaction to it when it resolves, as we're actually invested in the outcome. One of my favorite scenes of the whole episode had to be Godwin going assassination mode and rescuing the kids. Like, we knew that Godwin was a character that was good with the sword from the training scene with Edmund. We also know he's very politically sharp and charismatic. So when he's able to bring that together and deceive his own opponents into kneeling in front of him armless, well, it's just nice to see Godwin shine.
What happened to them?
Gone to heaven.
After no Freydís in the previous episode, we return to her storyline, and it's kind of going in the opposite direction that Leif is heading. As we see him embrace the new Viking world, question his beliefs, contemplate what it means to be a Christian Viking, we see her double down on the old beliefs, to embed herself in a culture that's dying, that's being eliminated. Now, I'll be frank, I wasn't quite sure what was going on. Like, the spiritual stuff, the, mythics, it's not really my focus. I'm the path, I like the fights, I think she was getting sacrificed with Björn's sword and meeting some people, and then she, tripped on some acid, and she flew around as a bird that people thought was a god, and, some calling or whatever, and then the girl was calling out to her, and she couldn't resist it because she told she couldn't, and then she met the seer, and, he was like, go away, I don't want you to see me again, and then she's like, what? But hey, Jarl was a very interesting character, very scary looking. I like what's going to happen with that storyline, so maybe we'll get some action.
I have a way with babies.
Did you guys understand what was happening with Freydís? Then tell me in the comment section below. I really do these videos to have these conversations afterwards with you guys, to hear your thoughts, to experience the show with people. So I'd love to hear your perspective on where Leif is heading, how Harald's changing, your thoughts on King Canute, everything. And like the video if you can. Thanks.